Today, I would focus your efforts on assignment of contract because that's what most people are doing, and that's the fastest way to the end result right now. But as things change, you need to understand what a double closing is and have private lenders in your back pocket or start that process of building that out. Get a flash funding resource available to you. We've got multiple lending partners that work with us here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. So the answer to all of your quandaries related to real estate investing may just be joining up with a Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders group and posing that question to a group of people who are trying to do exactly what you're trying to do, getting started or expanding in their real estate career.
Check, 1 2 1 2.
Turn it up.
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
The tides are turning. The time is now.
Your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to invest in foreclosures.
Don't you dare buy a house, buy a deal. You need to get into this right now.
Yeah.
And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum, recording live from our downtown Denver studios with my executive producer and main man, Mr. Jonathan Winston. What's going on, bro?
What's going on today? It's been really good for me as an NBA fan.
Yes.
I've kind of kept you guys abreast throughout the playoffs. As a Lakers fan, we're doing all right, man. We're in the finals. We're up 2-1 on the Heat. The Heat they're a good team. You can't count them out, but I'm feeling pretty confident about this one. So let's just keep the fingers crossed for us Lakers fans out there and go ahead and bring this one home for Kobe.
Yeah, it's got to be tough to be a Lakers fan right now, man. I mean, a couple of reasons. Number one, California has become the People's Republic of California. So you got a lot of political stuff going on.
Oh, okay.
You got Kobe and that whole, all the bias that's going on there. Why the Lakers? You're from Oklahoma, right?
Look, man, so that when I first started watching ball, man, that was the team. It was Kobe Bryant, it was Shaq, it was Froby, and then, he switched over to number 24, and then he became the Black Mamba. And, that was just my guiding star, basketball-wise. Him and Dwayne Wade were just the two. Yes.
The dream team, baby.
Yeah, they were the two ones that I kind of tried to, pattern my game.
I like that. Hey, listen, that's awesome. It's awesome. If you're a big NBA fan, hey, first of all, just glad NBA is back. It's good just we're playing in general.
That's good.
That's hot. That's the hotness. Just some sign of normalcy. Well, let's get to it. Let's get to the show today. So much going on. A little bit of housekeeping before we get into this. I just want to say, again, I know I do this kind of often, but I want to do it again. Thank you guys, because I have to tell you, the group membership has been soaring. And if you haven't done so yet, join up with the Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders group. The link will be right here attached into the podcast notes here. Join up with that. A lot of people are joining up with the group. We're getting a dialogue going. A couple of great questions have been posed in there. And listen, if you are looking to get started, whether you're going to do coaching or not, I highly encourage you to join the Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders group, because we're going to take on a lot of the topics we discuss here in the show in real world, actual wholesalers, actual investors doing deals. So that's super exciting to me. And just the listenership, guys, the feedback from what we're doing on the show has been incredible. I thank you guys for the positive notes. A lot of people have been saying they're getting a lot from the show. I really do appreciate that. Keep that coming. It motivates us to continue to bring the best information available anywhere on the current and coming foreclosure market. So let's get to our news article of the week. This is a good one. It kind of hit home. CNBC reports Denver, obviously, we're recording from Denver today, suddenly has one of the most competitive housing markets in America. All right, so here we are in it was a hot market anyway, okay? Denver market has been soaring out of control. And why? Well, don't let the word out on this, okay? But Denver, the whole Colorado area, may arguably be one of the best places in the world to live. We've got actual seasons, right? We've got skiing, but then we've got water sports nearby. Colorado, which is a really cool place to live. But suddenly, what they're explaining it as a bunch of tech workers are fleeing the Bay Area and the California market to come into nice areas. And then you got East Coasters looking for, more than 400 square foot for $800,000, because that's very common out there on the East Coast. And they're all kind of landing right here in the center of the country in Denver, Colorado. Okay, this article actually reports that the median price of a home is $510,000, and this is actually must have been published a little late in the game because that continued to go up, and now the reports say that a median price home in Denver, Colorado is over $600,000. Okay, so it has gone absolutely insane. And what's driving it is a simple desire of people to change their surroundings and move to one of the coolest places in the country. So that's pretty awesome. But then it goes on to say smaller areas around Denver, Colorado Springs being one of them. I do a lot of my business in the Colorado Springs, Colorado market. That is blowing up. That's got days on market that we measure in hours, not days, because it's happening so fast. And then these little towns like Snowmass Village, just a small suburb outside of Aspen, Colorado. Obviously, Aspen known for being a huge hotspot of wealthy people who want to go skiing and whatnot. Snowmass Village right next door, sales in Snowmass Village are up 650%. Okay, 650%. That is insane amount of growth. So here we are thinking that this market should be going down based on a coronavirus crisis, and it turns out it's doing quite the opposite. Okay, so today, a lot of wholesalers, a lot of people are trying to get into real estate in general, and others are working on trying to invest in this real estate market and take advantage of these heavily increasing rates. Okay, so we want to go over that today because one of the big discussions, Jonathan, talk to me about, you're out there wholesaling. What's one thing you're seeing that that's a big difference from before, or what's kind of happening in that marketplace in Denver in your experience?
Okay, so just dealing with a couple of the wholesalers that we've been talking to recently, we've been getting that discussion of assignment versus double close.
Okay.
So, like as a wholesaler, would you, assign the contract over to me, to us as far as Diamond Enterprises, the buyer, or assign it over to another wholesaler so they could, move it on to the end buyer? Or would you actually double close, in which what a double close would be, would you actually close on the property and then someone else, the other buying property, closes on it on that same day? So it's kind of like, which one do
What's
we choose?
the best route?
And which one's the best route?
Yeah,
And,
all right.
we're trying to figure it out.
Let's take that on. Okay, first of all, great job, by the way. You covered the definition of the two pretty well, but I'm going to recap that a little bit, the differences between assignment and double close. Okay, so let's start there. Most of the time on wholesaling, you are getting a property under contract. Now, it's important to note for you wholesaling types out there, because there's so many people out there pitching wholesaling courses and some incredible education out there available on wholesaling. And obviously, we have to touch on wholesaling as a real estate investment show, so we talk about it quite a bit. But here's the basis of an assignment of contract when you're a wholesaler. You get the property under contract, meaning you secure the deal for a certain amount of money. Just for the sake of numbers, let's say you secure the property for $100,000, okay? That's your purchase price of the property. Now, you as a professional real estate investor using tools like dealhunter.io have determined that the property in after repaired values out at $200,000, okay? I'm trying to keep really round numbers. Obviously, we just talked about the Denver market soaring to $600,000 as the median price, so you're probably not gonna find a $100,000 house anywhere near here, but your mileage may vary in the market that you're in right now, okay? So you've got the property under contract as a wholesaler for $100,000. It's worth, based on your prop stream analysis from dealhunter.io, $200,000. Okay, now what? What do you do with that property? Well, what Jonathan is asking is, should you assign the contract or should you double close? Well, in assigning the contract, you basically, inside the original purchase and sale agreement, there's a checkbox that allows for the contract to be assignable to a separate buyer. What assignable means is, let's say I'm buying the property as ABC Real Estate Enterprises. Whatever you call your company, you may buy it personally in title. Don't get caught up up on legal entities, okay? I see a lot of people who don't do any deals because they're not sure what kind of company to form. Don't worry about it, okay? You're ABC Enterprises, you're an LLC, you could register that with the state, get a business entity. Honestly, if you're just getting started, don't sweat that at all. Put your name on that contract and get that deal under contract, okay? Don't get caught up on the semantics. That's so dangerous, okay? But you now take contract to the property as ABC Enterprises. In an assignment, you're going to take that and you're going to assign it to the end buyer, the cash buyer you're looking for, XYZ company, and you're going to replace them on title. So when you send the contract to the title company, here in Colorado, we use title companies. Other states are going to be escrow states. We use an attorney, but the process is basically the same thing. You're going to submit the contract for $100,000, an assignment agreement to assign the title to whoever your end buyer is. In this case, XYZ Enterprises is buying it, and they're buying it for an advance on what you paid for it. If this house is worth $200,000 and you come to me as ABC Enterprises, the wholesaler, and say, I got this property for $200,000, but Donnie, you can have it right now for $110,000, okay, you're gonna have to race me to get over there to sign the paperwork, okay? Because that's how good of a deal that is. No doubt I'm doing that deal. And in between, you received an assignment fee of $10,000. Hi, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. One of the things we talk about on the show is the importance of great foreclosure data in helping you to find a great deal on a foreclosure property. But where do you find this data? You're certainly not going to find it on Realtor.com. You can't get it on your local MLS. So we have partnered with data provider Foreclosures.com to get you the latest and greatest in foreclosure listings right there in your local market. These properties are not hit the market in most cases, and when they have been foreclosed, gives you easy access to find out more detail so you can get the best deal on a foreclosure property. Getting started is super easy. Head on out to foreclosuredealscoach.com and click on the link labeled foreclosure list. Enter your zip code for a free 7-day trial of the best foreclosure listing data available in your local market. These properties are not even on the market yet, so you can get a jump on them and get a great deal. Once again, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. We'll look forward to seeing you there. So you got it under contract for 100, you sold it for 110. Your assignment fee was 10 grand in between. Does that make sense, Jay? You with me there?
Yeah, okay, I'm following so far.
So that's the basics of an assignment, okay?
Cool.
And most of the time, because wholesalers, don't take this the wrong way, but a lot of you guys don't have any money, right? Most of the time, you're not dealing with a whole ton of capital when you're getting started out in real estate, and that's okay. See, in the past, this was about a having money game. You had to come in with capitalization. Right? Today, be courtesy of this assignment fee, you just made 10 grand and you made it for the cost of the contract you put together, which was really just printing the paper. Right? So it didn't cost you anything at all. Right? So that works in an assignment deal. A lot of times, that's the route you're going to want to go, and I can tell you 90% of wholesales would be doing that assignment route. That's the majority of them. Right now, if you're thinking about getting started, I'm pretty sure that barring a circumstance I'm going to explain in just a second, that you're probably going to do this on an assignment contract because it's simply easier and it requires a great deal, less capital. All right? Here's the second version of this. The second option would be a double closing. What is a double closing? Well, let's imagine you're buying same house, $100,000, okay? And you're gonna buy that property, take title to it in ABC Enterprises. Your company's gonna buy the property, and then you're gonna sell it to XYZ. In a double closing, you're buying that property for cash, in this case for 100 grand, and then you're selling it for cash for somebody else for 110 grand, okay? Here's the problem with that. It's more expensive. It's costlier because you've got more title fees and other processes you got to go through to make that work. But most importantly, it requires that you show up at that closing table with $100,000. Okay, not literally in cash. You can wire the funds, you can bring in a check, whatever, yada yada. My point is you have to have the funds to do a double closing. So why would anybody do it? What's the benefit of doing a double closing if you have to have the money? Here's the thing: there are certain sellers that will require that you take title to the property in the original contract name. one example that comes to mind, the most prominent example, would be HUD. HUD foreclosures, if you go under contract or you get an accepted bid on a HUD foreclosure, you have to close in that entity. They will not let you assign it. It's not an assignable contract. You simply have to buy it for whatever you agreed to buy it for. All right? There are not a ton of HUDs right now. So the reason you're not hearing about a ton of double closings in this market is because the foreclosure market, courtesy of one of the hottest real estate markets in reportable history, is not doing a bunch of HUD repos. The fact of the matter is there's not a ton of reason to foreclose on your FHA loan or anything for that matter because there's so many available buyers in this market as hot as it is today. So although there are HUD listings, I'm looking at the HUD list right now, in the entire state of Colorado, there are 14 HUD foreclosures in the entire state of Colorado. Okay, which is way low. There was a time where I would wake up every morning like a kid waiting for Christmas and go through the HUD list and have 50 or 60 properties to potentially look at that day in the Colorado marketplace. Now, not all of them were obviously in my backyard. Colorado's a pretty big state, so there's some driving involved, but there were tons of options. Today, the entire state has 14 HUD foreclosures. The state of New Jersey, where I was born, okay, a smaller state, but actually was known very recently for having the most foreclosures in the United States of America, currently has 6 listings in the entire state, 6 HUD foreclosures in the entire state of New Jersey. One more quick example here, the state of New York, obviously a very large state, right, currently has 23 in the state of New York, okay? So there's not a ton of HUDs. As a result, there's not a ton of double closings going on right now. In most cases, the seller who simply wants to get their $100,000 in our example does not generally care who you assign the contract to, so assignments are doing just fine. But in my era 15 years ago, when I was doing a lot of fix and flips and buying foreclosures, a lot of the banks, to prevent this wholesaling thing from taking place, the bank wants to maximize what the market will give them. They don't want you as a wholesaler getting a cut of their action. Okay, so to keep the wholesalers out, they made contract assignments fundamentally difficult, right? And to some people, this is not true, but you're going to hear from certain agents that wholesaling is illegal. That's inaccurate. Okay, everything's legal as long as it's on the contract. If you're disclosing that the contract is assignable, you're not breaking any laws. But because agents don't want people without real estate licenses making money off of real estate, they're going to tell you that assignments are not legal. You're going to hear that a lot when you get into this actively. It's not true, and you need to disregard it. You do need to follow the rules in your local state. Different states have different rules and regulations for how to wholesale. But again, don't get caught up on the semantics. You're buying low, and you're selling high. That's the nature of it. Right? So if you're looking to do a wholesale deal, I would focus on assignments, but there are certain cases with government foreclosures, and again, REO properties in general, where a double closing becomes necessary. So if you don't have $100,000, $150,000 laying around, can you still play in the double closing area? What do you think, Jonathan? How are you going to do a double closing if assignment was not an option? What would you do?
That's where our lovely private lenders and great people that we partner with on our deals come into play. You let them know, hey, got a great property. Here's the numbers.
Yep.
Looks cool. This is what we're gonna look to go in at. Our acquisition price. If we're doing HUD, I'm sure you have to place bids on HUD, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so, we place our bid. We'll try to get it at this price. If they accept our bid, bam, we're in business. We're working on a deal.
Absolutely. And you nailed it. You got it. When you are trying to do something that the normal real estate market does not like or understand, you've got to turn to private lenders and I guess off-the-grid information. What I don't want anybody who listening to this show is believe that it's not possible. It can't happen in my state. It's not legal here. Listen, there are successful real estate investors in every single state in the United States of America, okay? People are making money doing this. The only difference between you and them right now is knowledge. It's right there, what's between your ears, what you know versus what they know. Okay, and if you're willing to get educated, which you are doing so right at this moment by listening to this show, you can make a living as a real estate investor anywhere in the U.S. It does not require money because, as Jonathan pointed out, if you got a really good deal under contract, private lenders, hard money lenders will be happy to fund your deal. In the past, they had what's called flash funding, where they would charge about 1% of the purchase price, and that money would show up for just as many hours as it took for you to double close that deal, right? And I use flash funding, guys, all the time. We'd close at 9 o'clock in the morning. On my side of the closing, I'd walk over to the room where the cash buyer was buying the property. I'd resell it to them. Total use of the capital, 3 to 4 hours. Okay, it happened all the time, and it's perfectly feasible. It can be done. Right now, double closings are just not as necessary. Okay, but
that makes sense.
You've got to be able to skin this cat any which way. If you're going to be successful, listen, man, if you're, going back to the sport analogy, if you only got one wicked jump shot, and that's the only thing you got in your arsenal, you ain't going to make it in the NBA, right?
Why not?
You've got to come with multiple different moves. You can take on every single angle of this process. And the good news is the information is out there. It's right here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. But if not here, there's a wealth of knowledge out there available in Facebook groups, on YouTube, reading good old-fashioned books. You can find the information out there. Today, I would focus your efforts on assignment of contract because that's what most people are doing, and that's the fastest way to the end result right now. But as things change, you need to understand what a double closing is and have private lenders in your back pocket or start that process of building that out. Get a flash funding resource available to you. We've got multiple lending partners that work with us here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. So the answer to all of your quandaries related to real estate investing may just be joining up with a Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders group and posing that question to a group of people who are trying to do exactly what you're trying to do, getting started or expanding in their real estate career. So that answer your question, man? Did I cover that?
That sounds good, man. I'm definitely looking to sign my contracts, and once I get my money up, maybe we'll work on some double closings if the HUDs come back around.
I love that, and I think it's going to happen. I think we are heading down a road where there's definitely going to be more foreclosure inventory coming. The reasoning may vary. Some of it's politics, some of it's the job market, and a lot of it's going to come down to the interest rates. We're going to talk about this more on a show down the road. But listen, we've been saying for a while that the crisis is coming. The time is coming, and if you're going to get involved in real estate investing, you want to learn the game right now. You want to get started today because by the time you get in, the game may have changed a little bit, okay? So get started today, advance your knowledge, get some sophistication, but most importantly, get your butt out there and do some deals, okay? Because they're available. Find them, get them under contract, overcome your fears, and start pushing forward to become a top-notch real estate investor. And I promise you, over time, you will develop the skills that you need to become a successful deal hunter in whatever market you happen to be in right this moment. With that, that's our time for today. We're going to wrap up. But once again, this is Donnie Corum. And listen, keep coming. Bring those questions, man. We love to hear from you guys. Thank you for that great question, Jonathan. And thank you guys out there for asking questions in the group, finding out how to get started on that. Join the Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders group. And you're going to need a powerful software to really take advantage of doing valuation out there. And you can get that software from dealhunter.io. We'd love to see you in the group. Continue this dialogue and help you to become a successful foreclosure investor. With that, again, this is Donnie Corum, your Foreclosure Deals Coach, reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.
Want more of the Foreclosure Deals Coach? Hit subscribe and stay tuned for more of the mindset, methodology, and tools you'll need to invest in foreclosures. Visit foreclosuredealscoach.com and text DEAL to get a list of foreclosures in your area.